Hey, this is Soma79 with a special announcement. My new Mega Mix is up. My MF Doom Mega Mix, Oxidation Moons Day, is now available. Go to www.soma79.com/doom to check it out. It's a 30-minute mix that I did of MF Doom raps over my own beats. I really enjoy it. I hope you really enjoy it. So check it out. Tell a friend. Peace. Hey, welcome to the first episode of the Articulate Ox podcast of the new year, 2024. What is going on? Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, this is exciting. We're in year two. The podcast started last year, the first week in January. So here we are on our second lap. And I thank everybody for showing up. I know I thanked everybody at the end of last year, but we'll do it again quickly now. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this. So my episode today is on the album Reporting Live, put out by some friends of mine. Onest the Grease God, the Supervisor, Pilze Beats, Don Def. We don't have Don in this episode, unfortunately. He couldn't make it, but we got the rest of the guys. We're talking about this album, Reporting Live. It came out a couple months ago. Definitely dig it up on your streaming services, whatever. I really enjoyed this album. These guys are all really talented. And if you're like me, like I've known these guys for a while, like, you know, to different degrees. But after listening to this group album, it really wanted me to dive deeper into their solo catalogs, which I've been doing, and it's really been rewarding and enjoyable. So check them all out. Their social media information is in the show notes and on the bottom of the screen and all that good stuff. And thank you very much for hanging with me for another year. And that's it. Peace. Bye. That's just Meet Ann with wings clipped, quick to flip manuscripts, cause her man went from damaged kid to damn he's rich. But she still can't stand the way he manages to never put nickels in the can for the cancer kids. Plus he cheats at cornhole and brags that he won, so she lost interest like porno after she comes. My DM started jingling, baby, as it was done. 2 seconds later I can hear the snapping of her gums. She calls me half Dodge Challenger, half Lip Gallagher. Hey, welcome to the newest episode of the Articulate Ox podcast. I am your host, Soma79. Thank you so much for joining me. My guests today are by some friends of mine. We got a new album out. We got Onest over here. We got Supervisor, and unfortunately, Don Def is not with us, and Pilze Beats is taking care of something, but he'll be back in a minute. We are here to talk about their new album, Reporting Live, which came out early December. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Earlier than that, I think.
It came out in November. Came out
November.
Like 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Excellent. And obviously, any of you who've heard any of my music has heard Onest on a bunch of those songs with copyright. He was on my last album, Quiet Life, Loud Friends. I can't remember the name of my own shit, so good luck to everybody involved here. So, Reporting Live, let's talk about that. How'd that project come together?
Oh man, yeah. It was a long time coming. Me and Owen know each other for a very long time. Both been rhyming for a very long time, running in the same circles since we were kids, young kids. I know we were just going back. We know each other since we were like 10, 11 years old.
Oh shit.
But we never really collaborated on anything. Like I can't even think of a song that the two of us are on from like back in that early 2000s era. You know, late 90s, none of that hard shell stuff, none of the like. We're just not on the same, running in the same circles, involved in the same projects, not on the same songs. Yeah. So we just decided, I decided it was time, you know.
So wow, so that's been like 20 years. That's been like 20 years. Holy shit.
Yeah. For real. Yeah. Longer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. So what made it happen now? I mean, just all of a sudden it felt like this was the moment, and Pilze had the beats.
Yeah, Pilze had the beats, and everybody's just working as individuals, so it just made sense to just collaborate and see where everybody's at and come up with something dope.
Sweet, man. So like you said, you guys have been friends since like you were 10, 11 years old. Where are you guys from? We have a sort of an audience from all around the world. So
we're from Cambridge.
Cambridge?
Yeah.
Cambridge, Massachusetts. Excellent. Spent a lot of time there. Fucking shit. So how did these guys start your music careers?
When did you start rhyming? Because when we knew each other when we were like 5th grade, And then when we link back up, like around the high school era, like O was already nasty.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened in between.
So we started off like we was like first started off we was doing just like random shows. We would do shows in bars. We was in high school. We wasn't able to be in that motherfucker.
Talking about All Asia,
all types of shit.
Oh shit, yeah, we played All Asia.
By the way, I was gonna say, me and Soma used to do mad shows at All Asia.
Yeah, that was the first like monitor show was.
Yeah, exactly. So I started off with that, just and then there was a group that we kind of just made up as we kind of keep finding each other who kind of like shared the same hobby and shit. Everybody liked to rap, so we all came together and we just kept just linking up and making songs and doing shows, just having fun with it, really just getting our feet wet with it. And now I feel like everybody's done that, and it's a perfect time for everybody to start, venturing out a little bit more.
How long do you think it takes? I mean, now that we're all like grown adults here, like how long does it really take to become a real MC? Because it's like there were definitely for me, there were stages where I'm like, oh, I think I'm pretty good, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know shit. And then I mean, I think now I'm finally okay, but like I'm sure in a year, who knows? But like, was there? How long did it take before you really felt like you had something and that you were confident in it?
In the beginning, like anything, it was rough starting off. I thought it was good, you know what I mean? You start off with my name is, go into
rapping like a Fruity Pebbles commercial.
Yeah, and you kind of just progress up after that. And so I got to it quickly, like I took to it like a fish in water.
Yeah.
So I was off and running really, really fast and soon.
You still remember your earliest rhymes?
Some of them.
Yeah. I got one or two in my head, but I think just to speak to what O was saying about how there were so many of us. Mm-hmm. Like we were a crew that was like 10 deep, and so at the time it's like, if you can just come with a couple of dope verses, like you feel like you got it.
Yeah,
you're something that's ill. But I think that after that whole era kind of ended, it was like, all right, time to figure out if you're a solo artist or not. Like, what can you do by yourself?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we linked back up, because I just sat, I happened to cross O and his music. I'm like, oh, this dude's putting out serious solo albums. And I was doing the same thing, putting out serious projects. I'm like, well, all right, time to get back together then.
It seemed like there was sort of a time in like the late aughts or whatever, like the 2006 to like 2011, where it's like independent music and hip hop just sort of fell off a cliff, where it was like, it was so many artists. There were way more artists than fans. And then a lot of people just sort of walked away for a while. And then the people who didn't really give a fuck, they never came back. But the people who really were excited about it all of a sudden realized, oh, there's still plenty of shit to learn. There's still plenty of exciting stuff. And it's like, it's sort of one of the benefits of me of like, none of us have gotten rich off of our music yet. But it's like, it's sort of like now it's down to people actually do it because they want to do it. And back then, everybody thought they were going to be like making money. They're like rubbing their hands together like fucking Birdman. I'm kind of sick, so glad we're out of that fucking era. But
I agree. Yeah,
that's my commentary.
Yeah, well, I think that the people who lasted are the ones who are really, really love the art form.
Yeah,
like because I did lose interest in this shit to a certain degree for a while, but I never lost interest in writing rhymes and making songs.
Yeah,
and so you pop out on the other side of that as a better artist. You're head and shoulders above the pack.
Yeah, definitely. So what are your earliest memories of hip hop?
Yeah.
It's kind of a tough one to just spring on you. Mine's Licensed to Ill by the Beastie Boys and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and like Digital Underground. That's how friggin' old I am. But it's like that stuff just changed me forever. And like listening to Eazy on the back of the bus in like third grade, which in hindsight seems young, but
yeah. Right. To like Daz Effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Shit, I don't even want to admit it. Crisscross.
That was the first CD I ever owned, was Crisscross.
That's what really got me interested. I was like, oh shit, these little kids, and like I can do this.
I'm a little kid.
Right. So just that there was a few Doggy Style, Chronic, like that era was just crazy. Then like the Rough Rider era and like DMX was like dominating shit.
Do you remember when it felt like something that you thought you could do? Because as a kid, like I think I was probably in my early 20s where I understood what like a 4/4 beat was, or just really how music works. So that was like, that's how far away I was from ever being able to feel like I could do that. But when was a moment, do you remember moments when like you went from being a listener to going, this is something I probably could do?
Absolutely. Yeah. once I started getting like good feedback, like I would be cautious when I jump into ciphers and stuff, and then I would see the, you know, what would come about it, and I would just get so like encouraged by it, and like everybody just loved to see me just rhyme. So I was like, I just went with it.
Yeah.
Was that
your style's rough as a motherfucker? I love your style, man. It's like it reminds me of like Redman, but even like a little grittier. It's got the big punchlines, but you're still saying stuff. I'm a big fan. And this album in general is really dope. Like I love the shit out of it. Obviously, I'm a little biased because Pilze produces most of my shit, but like, you know,
he's working. We're working.
Yeah.
Honestly, the album came out really, really fucking dope. And like I produced a lot of music for a lot of different people, but like this album in particular was like really, there was something special about it to me.
Yeah.
As far as like the lyricism on it, and like the obviously like the production, I feel like I tried to like really make sure that, you know, everybody can pick the beats that I think they could really shine on, and everybody that like surpassed every expectation of, you know, what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, dope, man. So what about you, Supervisor? Earliest hip hop memories? Anything come to mind?
I do remember I had this friend named Jed who lived like a block away from me. And right next door to him was like this older dude, like this cool white dude who was always playing hip hop out of his window. And he would like, he was cool. He'd like, you know, we were little kids. And he'd like come say what's up to us or whatever. And I remember Jed being like, hey, I like the music you play. Like, what's up? Can you make me a mixtape? And this dude made a mixtape. He made 2 dubs of it and gave me a dub. And it had like Gangstar, Das Effects. It had some Diggable Planets, like Arrested Development on it. You know,
so he was even doing good of giving you the stuff that wasn't like that. Those are all tapes I remember didn't have the explicit like lyrics thing on it. So he was like good. He was giving you the kid. That's awesome.
But I had like, you know,
it's just considerate, you know,
off No More Mr. Nice Guy songs off, you know, the first Das Effects album. I forget what that one's called.
Dead Serious.
Dead Serious.
That album actually was only ever put out in a clean version, I found out, because I just got the record a few months ago, and when I noticed it was clean, I kind of wrote like a what the fuck letter to the guy, and he's like, it was the only one there that exists.
I'm pretty sure they only have a clean version of
that. I was disappointed to find out. So
was it that bum skiggity bum?
Skiggity bum?
Oh yeah.
But so I got to go back and record the swears over the album, but you know that's a project for a rainy day.
But I think I was in 2nd grade, and I had my hands on this thing that was just like so amazing to me. I listened to it over and over and over again, and that was like.
Do you have the thing now where, because I had this with a lot of my old mixtapes, where like if I hear one of those songs now when it ends, I think of the next song from the mixtape immediately after, even though it's been like 30 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know what's about to blend into it, even though it isn't, you know?
Yeah. Then I start wondering if free will even exists at all, and I go into a downward spiral. But it is not at the moment. I did that to my girlfriend once when a song's in the car, and I play it. I'm like, what song are you thinking about right now? And it ends, and she says a song, and it was the one from the mixtape, like, the next mixtape, but it wasn't playing that time. And I'm like, why are you thinking that? She's like, I have no idea. And she thought I pulled some sort of magic trick on her. It was one of my finer. We broke up like 2 weeks later. So Pilze, what are your earliest hip hop memories? We talked about that before, but especially like on the production end, because you know we came up as MCs together, and then I think you got scared of the microphone. I think you told me. Oh no, I wasn't supposed to say that.
It just it just became like I felt like everything that I felt like I had to say, like I feel like it just didn't matter. And at that time it was when I really got into producing, like, you know what I mean, just strictly making music, because that's kind of what like inspired me, like in like my friends all rapped at the time, and I felt like everybody was just like stealing beats off of SoundClick, because that was the only thing that existed back then. It was SoundClick. There was no YouTube or anything like
all Auto Domini beats.
Yeah, so everybody was just stealing Auto Domini beats and or whatever, you know what I mean, from like, there was very few producers back then that had like a name for themselves, especially like in the internet era, when like the internet first started. And then that's like, or we would still just commercial beats. Everybody would rap over like a Biggie beat, or you know what I mean? Like like a Tupac beat or something that like you already knew, like when you heard it, you already knew what that song was, and everybody was rapping over that shit. And then to me, I was always like, that's not like, even though all my friends were writing original music to it, like they were writing their own lyrics, to me, it just felt like so corny to like rap your own verse over a Biggie verse. You know what I mean? And so with that, I was like, I'm gonna start, making my own beats and shit. But the first music I ever remember getting, like the first thing I ever bought with my own money, was a East 1999 Bone Thugs tape.
Hell yeah.
And I bought that with my own money. And my older brother, his friends worked at the record shop that was down the street, and they all used to come over my house and like drink and smoke weed on the weekends. And so I went there and went to go buy the tape, and then they were all dicks, and they were like, "We're not going to sell that to you. You're not 18."
Oh, I got that shit too sometimes.
But at the time, I was like, "You guys all come drink at my house on the weekends, like fuck you." And they were like, and she was like, "No, you got to get your older brothers." And they purposely made me walk back home, get my older brothers, and then go back to the record shop, which I knew they were going to sell to me inevitably anyway. Yeah. They were being dicks. And realistically, I think they just wanted to see my brothers. Also, I'm pretty sure just one of them just bought weed off my older brother. And so I'm pretty sure he made my brother come back up there because it was
going to buy weed.
Cell phones. And so he walked back up there. I think my brother sold him a bag of weed. He sold me the tape, and then I went home. That and I bought Temples of Boom by Cypress Hill. And those are the first. And I was probably like in like the third or fourth grade at the time, and I knew every word of Temples of Boom, and I won't even pretend like I knew every word of Bone Thugs, because
you still don't know every word.
Nobody can know all of
they don't know all the words.
I just remember being obsessed with like their rhythm and their cadence, and just like what they were doing. It was not like anybody else, and especially at that time. And so for me, that was like, I was like, this is the greatest shit I've ever heard in my life. And that was like life-changing for me. Temples of Boom and East 1999.
It is wild to think that there was a time, and I dealt with this a lot when I was a kid, where like I'd have to go all the way to the store, get someone to drive me there, or be lucky to be going there because my mom was going somewhere near there, and then not be sure I'm going to be able to buy what I want because I don't know who the guy at the register is going to let me or not, because he's got a parental advisory thing. It's like, that's ridiculous now. It's like I could have like hardcore porn blasting out of every orifice in this office in 4 seconds. And back then I would have to travel all the way down 3 towns over to maybe get a cassette. Like, I don't know how those two things are connected, but
it made it special though,
It did, yeah.
Special thing to have. Like when someone made you a dub of some shit they had and brought it to school and gave it to you for like $1 or $5 or whatever, you were like, oh, now I have that thing that's so hard to get.
Yeah. I specifically remember being with my grandmother once where I tried to buy Too Short, Shorty the Pimp, and they wouldn't sell it to me because they told her it was like an R-rated thing, and I had an R-rated album, so I had to buy Pete Rock and CL Smooth instead. And I don't think I've ever actually heard that Too Short album. So,
dude, that album has Stepdaddy on it.
So, yeah. I don't know that song. I know a lot of his other ones, but I think
so good, man.
That one.
That's a great Too Short album.
Yeah, I was just listening to Short Dog in the House the other day, which I fucking love. But it's funny with that stuff is it felt like there was a time, and like I think Judge Jeff and the Freshmen's kind of the best example of this, but also like Too Short, where it's like in like the early 90s, that shit was corny as a motherfucker because it was just like it was too like basic or whatever. And then everybody's like, nah, this is dope again, and it kept going in and out. But now it's like we're just accepted these people like there was a time where even like Ice-T sounded basic, but now it's like nope, all Ice-T ever is awesome, and that is accurate.
Yeah, because at that time, like, you know what I mean, it was what they were doing to try to, like, I guess, like what you'd say commercial. They're trying to do stuff that would catch on and make it basic enough that like other, like commercially would catch on. But if you just think back on it, like at you know, for the times, like now all of that shit is just legendary.
Right. I thought Ice-T was hard as fuck. Like
Yeah.
in the beginning, like Colors was
yeah.
I'm a nightmare walking, psychopath stalking, king of the jungle, just a gangster. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I kind of lost interest during like Body Count and then
see, I liked Body Count because I grew up in bands and shit growing up. So growing up playing guitar and being in bands, when I found out that Ice-T was in a fucking hardcore band, I was like, what? Like my brain exploded.
Actually, you know what's funny is like the Judgment Night soundtrack. That is like that to me. There was this era of like Body Count. There was the Public Enemy and Anthrax song. And then there was a Judgment Night soundtrack. And I feel like that's an album that particularly to like white kids was like an entrance to hip hop for so many people. And it's just like, I don't know if it's true in like other demographics, but so many people I know, I just picked up that album again recently, listened to it. It's fucking amazing. Like there's so much awesome shit on it. But you hear like there's a song with Mudhoney and Sir Mix-a-Lot where Sir Mix-a-Lot makes a joke. I just lost my credibility by working with like Mudhoney. And it's like that's such a, like an early 90s like thought that like for some reason these two people couldn't work together. So
you feel like you're selling out.
You crossed over or whatever.
I think maybe you got to think the same thing with like Ren DMC with like Aerosmith.
Crossover,
like because they wanted to do like a crossover and be like, here's like the hip hop side of it, but we're gonna blend it with shit that is like already popping, which it's going to be like that rock era, you know what I mean, of radio. And
they saved Aerosmith's career. Aerosmith's career was in the friggin' toilet when that happened, and Run DMC brought him back.
Yeah, and I think and maybe as much as they brought them back, it also put like hip hop on the map for like people that never would normally listen to hip hop, hear that version and be like, oh, who are these guys? You know what I mean? And it kind of
I was literally standing next to my dad at an Aerosmith, Run DMC, and Kid Rock concert years ago, and that moment occurred.
Yeah, see,
my dad's a real hard sell in hip hop, so it felt like a major win.
Yeah, see,
yeah, but
it gets people to notice shit that they normally wouldn't notice.
Yeah, it gets different ears on it. I agree.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
The art form was still developing back then, man. So I think it was easy for like an Ice-T record to get left in the dust by whatever came out next. You know?
Yeah,
all of a
things
sudden
sped up really fast.
Cool. Like it could sound old 6 months later back then because you know it's on to the next. And and so
it's even more like that nowadays, though.
Yeah,
because everything moves so quickly nowadays that something that you could put out like a day ago could seem like so old to somebody because they're already waiting for the next new thing.
But I'm talking about like stylistically. Like right now, there's people you can rap like Too Short and put out some shit that'll be dope, and you could rap like Cool As You Rap and put out some shit that would be dope. But I think what Soma was maybe touching on, correct me if I'm wrong, was like, yeah, like those Too Short records, like, you know, in the mid 90s, people were like, yeah, what is this? This is like just
basic. It was like basic. Once you start hearing internal rhymes in like a line, that sort of put everything before that out to pasture for a little while, where it was just sort of like, it's like, you know, all right, well, Kid and Play, you've had your moment. And it's like, then you go back and listen to that stuff now, and what it has is the charm that I think sort of gets better with age, because it's like it reminds us of those times, but it's like it had a personality to it that a lot of the other music didn't have as time went on.
And it reminds you don't have to do nothing too complicated for it to be dope.
Yeah.
There was like few people like Rakim and shit like that started doing like the end rhymes of shit that was like, you know, the common thing, and just rhyme the end of the last sentence to what the next sentence is. But then there was people like Rakim that did like the in between rhyming words that filled in like
internal,
you know, the internal parts of it was like the end of the rhyme still rhymed, but then also the middle parts of it also rhymed with the next middle parts of the next line. You know what I mean? Like, which I feel like a lot of people were just like hadn't even seen before yet.
Yeah. I think people like Naughty by Nature don't get the credit they deserve, because it's like they not only put out some of the hugest records in hip hop, but on the album cuts, it was just like fucking Tretch is an animal.
Ripping it.
Yeah. That's like old school, like good New Jersey hip hop. Like
Flavor Unit, all that shit. All those people that Tommy Boy ripped off, I'm sure. But it was funny too. Now we're living in the age where we can get our De La Soul again, and I heard someone say the other day, it's like they really were kind of erased from memory for a while, because it's like I definitely put most of those records on in the past year, and it was like I hadn't heard them in 30 years. It really felt like they were just in a total vacuum, and it wasn't even like the way I remembered them. So I don't know.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point. I didn't think about it.
I'm glad that all this shit's getting preserved now, and it's about fucking time. They'll press up 2,000 copies of whatever album you want on purple vinyl, and it'll exist for a while, and then you can buy it on eBay for an outrageous price till the end of time. I guess that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't fucking know. We'll see when we press up our vinyl what outrageous price we want to try to sell it for on eBay and see who bites.
That's true. That's true.
So, Onest, let's talk about you sort of have been just crushing it the past few years. Like, it feels like you just sort of what is your process like?
As far as what?
Well, you're putting out such a high volume of music, it felt like, for a while. And are you writing in the studio a lot of times? How do you go about attacking a new song?
I think I get a beat from Pilze, and then I'll just sit back for a few minutes and catch a vibe, and then from there I just treat it like a book report, or like I'm from painting a canvas. Whatever I feel like, I paint. You know what I mean? And like a book report, I put people, places, things, stuff like that. Make sure it's just consistent all the way through, punchlines, and make it fun.
Yeah,
that's all I can do.
Yeah, you have a real nice blend of like the humor and the grittiness, and it just punches you like mad fucking hard. It's dope, man.
Thank you. I try. Yeah, that's what I really focus on, is like punchlines, really.
I tell you, fucking Copyright on that Summer Lovin' track, he was fucking loving your verse.
Yeah, he did his thing. Yeah. Everybody did the thing on that one.
I but he was pretty blown away by yours. He was like, "Yo, that fucking kid's dope."
Oh, good looks. Yeah.
So what about you, Supervisor? Like, how do you attack new songs?
Well, I like to as far as my projects, like I like to kind of get conceptual with it, and whether that just be like, all right, I'm just doing this type of beat, like I'm gonna do like a real West Coast sounding, like synthed out sound, or I'm gonna do a real gritty lo-fi sounding thing. But as far as like writing, like literally throughout the day, like just ideas just pop into my head, or I'll notice something, I hear a word, and I just jot it down, and I'll play around with it in my head for a little while until it turns into something, And
that's actually, I'll keep going. I'll come back to it.
So then when it comes time to sit down and write a verse, like in the studio, then I'm like, aha, here it is. Here's that idea. Here's those 4 bars that I'd already played around with for a while.
Never had a problem writing a verse in the studio.
And then I'm off and running.
Yeah. If I play a beat, like this dude will be like, oh, let me sit with it for a few minutes. And not more than a few minutes does he have a whole verse and a concept written around whatever concept that we're actually like writing around for the song.
Now, do you have so what I sometimes do is I'll just come up with bars while I'm just going about my day, and I have an email address that I'll just send it to, and then I'll just go back and try to make something out of it. So it's almost like I have like a fishbowl I can reach into when I go down to. Is that how you go about it, or you?
Basically, yeah, I have like the notes app, and I got a note, and I'm scrolling down. There's all kinds of little ideas, and sometimes an idea will turn into 16 bars, and sometimes it'll just turn into a punchline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I love when I have one that's like sitting around that I love, but it's like it doesn't go in like any song. It keeps getting carried over from like document to document. I'm like, we're gonna find you home. We're gonna find you home.
Yeah. I got ones I've been sitting on for a couple of years now that I'm like, I gotta. It's like money, man, burning a hole in your pocket.
Yeah. I on my album, I got an album called Drinking Songs for Children coming out next year, and it's like it's a combination of stuff I recorded recently and years ago, and it kind of merges together into a story. But the very first line in the album is the first line in the first song I ever wrote, which is I used to fake so many sick days so I could self-medicate at home that I'd probably fail an AIDS test on karma alone. Which was a great line, and I'm like, I held on to it for like 20 something years, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm still going with it. Real sensitive joke, but whatever. There's a part of me that it's hard when I'm writing rhymes. Like sometimes like a joke like that is something I'd say in a rhyme, but I probably wouldn't I wouldn't be joking about AIDS in my day-to-day life. But I feel like there's a certain bit of like, it's almost like stand-up comedy where I think in this little realm almost anything goes, and it's like I definitely will say stuff in a way that I wouldn't say in my day-to-day life, and it's almost like that's where I kind of get it out to some degree, and it almost feels like this space is sacred, almost like a comedy place is sacred. Do you feel something similar, or is it just more of an extension of who you are, like day to day?
Well, there's absolutely absurd shit that you can say in rhyme. As long as you can make it rhyme, it's okay.
Yeah,
You know, no matter how outrageous or controversial it might be. I think
yeah,
you're right. It is. It's similar to stand up in that way. That nothing's off limits. If it works, it works.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
punchline of a joke, if like stand up comedy kind of.
Mhm.
There's a lot of shit that I would like, I mean, I'm somebody that would always joke about pretty much anything. But as far like doing stand up, like actually doing stand up, every time I've ever done stand up, I realize this is the one place in the world where I could get away with saying this.
yeah.
People are not going to be like,
I feel like they're tightening down on that though. That you don't want to
You
get
could get
fucking
canceled,
canceled.
Well,
Like,
well, it's like you got to really
it's
make
kind
sure
of
there's a
right.
joke people are going to laugh at, because in the end, it's more of like if the joke is bad, is that's when, or even mid, that's when you get fucked. You better be a
hits.
dynamite. Like Anthony Jeselnik's been saying shit for years that would get fucking, I don't know, Tony Danza canceled, but like Anthony Jeselnik's getting away from it because he's that fucking sharp. It's kind of who you are and how you do it, I guess.
there's certain
Yeah.
people that can get away with saying some shit that would be super out of pocket.
Yeah,
But like, because you know who they are, they're like, okay, you can get away with that.
yeah, yeah. One of them's running for president next year. Um,
If everyone laughs, then they're all guilty too.
right, they're all complicit. Yeah. Then you argue too that laughter is it could just be an impulse, and it's like, does it always mean you actually find something funny? I don't know. I get pretty down the rabbit hole when the edibles hit, so, which I think was a few minutes ago. So this, like I mentioned before, this is the first episode of 2024. Brand new sheet of paper on the new year. Exciting. What do you guys obviously we're still in December when we're recording this, which is why I'm dressed like a fucking Christmas tree. But what do you guys have planned for 2024?
Oh shit! I'm just gonna keep just making more and just better music, and focus on that. Get better at promoting and stuff like that, more behind the scenes stuff. But other than that, I just plan on just keep dropping music while I can.
Yeah.
They got a wild album waiting to come out. Everything I've
Really?
heard about this thing is crazy.
What can you tell us about that?
You gonna tell them anything? It's
Yeah,
up to
tell them about August and Sicily. Come on.
Yeah, I got
I
August
don't
in
wanna blow the
Sicily.
spot.
Ooh, I like that title.
crazy.
I got a lot of great let's just say surprises on this. You know what I mean?
No, just drop them. Just say the
Just drop
surprises.
them.
That should not be a surprise. Just
I
say
You're gonna be
Wait,
surprised.
I can always
Yeah.
cut them out after if you want.
All right, one major surprise I'll drop. We got a Benny feature coming.
Oh
So,
shit!
Benny the Butcher.
Yeah, we got Benny the Butcher feature on there.
Damn.
That's gonna be a big deal.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that and just getting more of my shit out there at this point. You know.
So
we also have Chief Kamachi.
Oh, nice. So when you're doing a song like that where you're like, okay, more people are definitely going to hear this song just by the nature of the way digital algorithms work, what goes into, like, is it a different thought process than regular, or is it more of just like you always ready for something like that?
I was always ready for something like that, but there's a thought process where I'm like, all right, I really gotta, try to bring my A game. But I just normally just do what I normally do and it comes out dope. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
try not to like overthink.
Yeah.
You don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
Go in and just
Too
get
much thinking is no good.
try not to overthink it. Just go in and just do what I do best and just, just give them that grease. That's it.
Yeah, that's dope. So when is this coming?
I'm
DVD?
thinking maybe next August, maybe.
Yeah, it makes sense. August in Sicily makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we were trying to get everything wrapped up by August, and so when we drop it, obviously, you know what I mean, have that project come out for that time. But
Yeah.
we're also still working on stuff in
overlapping
between.
projects. Yeah,
like
projects kind of overlapped, and we had to
Yeah.
switch things around. But I'm happy for it because it gives me more time to really put my foot in it.
Yeah, yeah. Is this gonna how was this like an EP or full length or have you decided yet?
EP.
That seems to be the wave of the way of doing things now. I mean, it's like it used to be you'd buy a CD and it had like 22 tracks, 137 guest appearances, and that was even in the era where people were paying like 100 grand for like every beat. You're like, how much fucking money was there in the music industry back then?
Yeah, right. Well,
who's got time for that?
As long as the record label is willing to fucking front up for it, and if they think that's going to be, you know, worth it in the back end, so then, you know,
they didn't know. They were guessing. That's what we found out is none of them knew shit.
But also, yeah, being independent artists and just kind of reaching out and working with what we have, you know what I mean, and relying on skill alone of what we think people think we're worth, you know, what like kind of what we make happen.
That's dope. Did you say Chief Gaddafi or did you mean Tragedy Gaddafi?
Tragedy Gaddafi.
I don't know why this just popped in my head.
Kamachi.
I said Chief Kamachi.
Yeah. I was like, who is Chief
I was like,
Kamachi?
really? Chief Kamachi? I haven't heard that name.
I was gonna say, by the way, that I was actually listening to a lot of old Jedi mind tricks and old like Army of Pharaohs recently, and I think I think that just
you got that name stuck in your head.
This motherfucker high as hell. You don't know
shit. I can't believe I came up with that. Tragedy Gaddafi. Didn't he used to be Intelligent Hoodlum before he was Tragedy Gaddafi? I just remember the song from that movie Posse about with the Black Cowboys with Tone Loc and Big Daddy Kane and Mario Van Peebles. Intelligent Hoodlum had a song in that, like shoot him on his contract.
Yeah. No, we got a Tragedy Gaddafi verse also.
That's dope.
On the August and Sicily release.
Yeah, we're working on a Chief Kamachi joint though.
Yeah,
we're trying to get that going.
We're working on that though.
I gotta get his people.
Yeah, we are working on that too though. So that's why
we always working.
Yeah. What about like dream collabs? Like, because it's like I used to have those and it felt like a not reality, but I've realized as more time goes on, things are possible. It's like these things could happen. So put it out in the universe. Who do you like to dream collab with?
I don't. For me, it was always like a Benny. If I could get a Benny verse or a West Side Gun verse or a Conway verse, to me that would have been like somebody that I would love to work with, and I feel like my production would fit really well on that. And so for me, I mean, one of my dream collaborations I actually made come true. So for me, like it's like actually making an actual dream come true. But as far as I can think of other people that I would love to work with, there's a lot of other artists I would love to work with. Like, and you know, to your defense, you're right. I think there's a lot of other people that I would love to work with that is actually not as hard as you'd like to think.
Yeah.
To actually make it possible.
Yeah, it's it's a few emails away, and then obviously it's usually a $ attached to it. But sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you get lucky. It's it's a beautiful thing. How about you guys? Who would you guys love to collab with? Who comes to mind?
Oh shit. A lot of people I want to work with, they passed away, so
yeah.
Think about a living dream. If you could work with anybody, who would you want to work with?
I have no idea. That's a good question. I have no idea. I've done a lot of collaborations with a lot of people, and like I feel like I love collaborating, but I like to work with people who like to work with me. Like if they see something in me, then that's good. But it doesn't. I can't think of anybody off top that I can think of right now. You know?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Have you anybody come to mind?
I already work with all the people who I want to work with. You know, all my favorite people to work with, like Pilze, my man Northside Dro. But if there was one person who I don't know I could do a song with, it'd be Sugar Free.
Oh, Sugar Free's dope. Oh, sorry. There goes my cat.
Yep. I'm sure we can make that happen.
Oh, man.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
One day.
I'm saying you send them the right beat with the right song on it. You'll be surprised how many people are like, yeah, I fuck with this.
So let's go back to something we can kind of talk about. Did we talk about your goals for 2024, Supervisor Pilze, you guys?
Oh man, Well, I got a couple of so I got a couple projects in the works, man. The Hairline Brothers EP with my man Northside Dro, who was featured on Reporting Live. I got a single dropping with my man King Arthur. That's my guy. Shout out to him. And I'm also gonna do a album with this, or maybe an EP with this producer from Arizona. Brain fell out. BFO. Shout out to him. He sent me some crazy beats. So, bunch of stuff in the works.
There's some dope MCs in Phoenix. Like I became friends with this dude Unorthodox, who I'm doing some music with. He's absolutely insane. He's a total and it's like there's really no one big that's ever come out of Phoenix. There's tons of MCs there.
I can't. Maybe it's just that it's waiting to blow. I mean, it happened in Boston, man. No one blew up from Boston for a minute now. And now, man, we're center stage, man. The limelight has arrived.
I know. It's like seeing Esoteric since Czarface signed to Virgin, especially. It's like crazy. Now you're seeing him like at the Celtics games. Like it feels like all of Boston hip hop just leveled up a little bit just by him signing that.
Yeah, actually, I just saw him on the Tom Segura podcast on the.
Oh yeah.
Your mother's podcast.
Yeah, he was on Danny Brown's the other day too. The new Czarface album is awesome. It's
fun. And so it seems like he's getting out there, pushed out there a little bit more, and like being able to do things like this, and just
But it also gives hope that it's like, he's probably like 46 maybe. I think he's like a couple years older than me. He's just getting signed to Virgin from a major label for the first time, which is like sort of should give everybody hope, because that seems like something that you would have thought would have been pretty hard to do, but the dude put in the work over the years and it paid off.
The game has changed in a lot of ways, man. It used to really be a young man's game where it was like 18, 19, 20, right? You get signed and you get on, and anything after that, like, it's pretty much a wrap.
Right.
But run the.
It's like trying to be like a gymnast or like a tennis player. You're like you're over the hill by 21.
I'm trying out for the NBA at 35 or whatever.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
Yeah, like you said, like Run the Jewels and shit like that, where it's like LP has been doing this since like I remember Company Flow back in the day.
96, man.
You know what I mean? Like I remember Company Flow, Def Jux, all that shit, and like once again, him just laying the groundwork and. And like, although like certain things fall out and you move past certain shit or whatever, but he ended up now getting his chance of a lifetime at however old he is now, being the most successful he's ever been, like by far.
Just think too, it's like how old like 50 seemed when we were a kid. You might as well seem like you were 100,000. Like now it's like, and maybe it's because of my own sense of self-preservation of wanting to not feel like I'm 1 inch closer to the grave every time my knees creak when I stand up. But 50 doesn't seem that old as it used to. It seems like you can still do something.
Well, even then, like, I mean, there's so many other avenues. Like, it's not even like he needs to even fucking keep making music. He went on his last music tour and said this is his like farewell tour.
Who, LB did?
I'm even saying like dudes like 50 Cent or somebody.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That's somebody that's like, I'm going on my farewell tour, but even then, they're like going to pursue other avenues that actually are wildly successful.
Then I went to Kiss's farewell tour in about 2001 or 2002, and they just played Madison Square Garden last week. So that's the beautiful thing, is like it's like a lot of artists get to have a lot of farewell tours.
Yeah, right.
Motherfuckers be lying about retiring, that shit.
I mean,
it's like a lot of them are lying to themselves. So for some reason, I give people a little bit of I don't know.
Jay-Z mid-2000s said he was going to retire.
The Black Album was the end.
Yeah. He said he was going to retire.
5 albums later,
and then exactly, and then made a big deal about it, and so everybody was like, okay, we'll make a big deal about it. You know what I mean? Sell out the tours, do whatever you have to do. And then, he
seriously thought he's like, I'm going away, and you guys got Memphis Bleak, so just be happy with Memphis Bleak, and he's gonna take care of all your rap needs. I'm gonna be over here just def jamming some stamps on some stuff. But
but then 5 albums later, he's like, I'm not quitting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, I think the really cool thing about hip hop, or like, I think people are starting to just finally realize now, is because think about all the old bands that grew up in, like you said, like Kiss or anybody else, where it's like, we're on our farewell tour. By the way, they're all like you know, 70 years
Yeah,
old.
they're legit 70. Kiss is in their 70s.
Yeah, legit still performing. And I think, you know, like there's very few hip hop artists that realize that like it's not like how you think it is, where like, oh, I'm at a certain age, I should stop rapping, or I should stop rhyming, or I should stop doing the thing that I've literally spent my entire life doing. Like it's very rare that that actually happens now. Like people like Andre 3000 or something like that. It's like the few people that are like, oh, I should probably stop rapping because I'm too old.
Yeah, I
But
do wonder what like Big Daddy Kane is doing all day.
by the way,
Yeah.
Big Daddy
He's on
Kane,
tour.
Big
Oh,
Daddy
is he?
just dropped a new song the other day.
Oh, fantastic. All right. I have
It
my
was
answer.
even somebody else. By the way, the song is not good.
Oh no,
I'm telling you right now.
that's a
I
shame.
listened to it. For me, my personal opinion, I listened to it like the song could have been really good, but like the beat they chose and just everything about it, it is not like, I'm not saying it's not with the modern times and it's not like, you know, gonna hit or whatever.
Right. What you're saying is that you have Articulate Ox exclusive. You have beef with Big Daddy Kane. Is that what you're saying? Say it clearly into the mic. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding.
I'm saying I don't have beef with Big Daddy Kane. I'm saying he should have got a beat from me.
Good call. You don't have his problem. You have his solution. That's a good.
Yeah,
that's a
I
good,
have a solution. Big Daddy Kane should personally just hit me up. I will give him the perfect beat. He should record over my shit. I will, you know, I will make it sound
we'll make it happen.
good, and then we can go on from there.
Do you guys remember a time that you got something you're excited for, like a project, and ended up being disappointing? Because I feel like that doesn't happen as much as it used to. But there were definitely times back in the day where like you wait for an album, then you found out like after waiting 8 months that the label decided they wanted to take a different direction with the music, and you're like, this is garbage.
Yeah, it's just not good.
Yeah.
I remember a bunch of that shit. Oh my god.
Last one I can think about is the Big Daddy Kane song.
That's what made me think of it. Do you have another example?
You know what? I remember going to the store to buy the second Jizza album because I loved fucking Liquid Swords so much.
Yeah,
like the best album. Good. This next album is going to be even better, and then I was just like let down. But I go back and check out Beneath the Surface, and I'm like, well, this is a pretty good album.
That happens to me a lot too, and that's what I was going to get there with it too. And it's like that happens with some of the Raekwon albums too, because you know there was a little bit of a slump, at least back then. People felt that, but like
it wasn't the same, you know. Right. Yeah, you wanted Cuban Links, and you got Immobile Larry.
Yeah. It's I don't know,
but it's still a good album.
Yeah, and then there was definitely like the second Method Man album was one that everybody back then seemed very disappointed in, and I'm like, all right, you can trim some of those skits a little bit, but there's no garbage on there.
Yeah, he was still spitting.
Yeah,
but it was the sound, you know. Dudes come with an updated sound.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's true.
And, it just doesn't appeal to the hardcore fan base or whatever. Yeah. But you know.
So how much is playing live important to you guys now? Because I remember, you know, even back in the day when Pilze and I were coming up with like Monarchy, it seemed like we were always trying to get live shows, and that seemed to be, you know, the main way to get your stuff out there. Obviously, times have changed a lot. I've only done like 1 or 2 live shows the past few years, but looking to get out a little bit now. But how important is that now to what you guys have planned in terms of promotion? And
I don't think it matters too much now with like online and streaming and everything else that's going on. Like,
I think it's only important to like an actual fan base of people that like, once you build a fan base of like people that are streaming your songs, or like actually like, you know, actual fans of yours that like want to meet you or want to see you live, like I think that's the only time that actually like matters now, which is sad. But like I think we haven't focused a lot on that. Like me and O have done a lot of live shows together. Like we've done a lot of like performances together.
I mean, it works, but it doesn't do justice as like when we put out a music video and you get more eyes, because obviously everybody's not going to show up at your performances, but everybody's going to be at home or have a cell phone device where they can kind of check in and what you're doing.
See what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is actually kind of crazy though, because we actually have like a fan base within like a certain area of like New England, of like as far as like is like Maine and that shit is concerned, which it's weird because like maybe it's because like they don't get a lot of live performances in that area or whatever, but like we've actually gotten a lot of requests from a lot of people from that like that area hitting us up to be like, hey, come play a show here, come play a show here. And then like, you know, they'll pay us to come out, and we'll come out and we'll do the show. And it's surprising like the amount of people that show up for those like events where like there's a good amount of people that show up for them.
Yeah. It is wild too with like the internet, is you never know. Like I had someone Shazam my music from like South Africa the other day, and I'm like, I want to know so much what was happening on that. And then it's like I was talking to 3SK, and he's like, yeah, you know, I'll go fly somewhere for a battle, and people just recognize me off the internet. And he's like, it's just a bizarre feeling that like, oh, like there's people across the country that like think of you so much differently than we think about it. It's a bizarre thing, but it's a wonderful time to be alive, you know. So even right. Like I said to Wordplay, I'm like, do you really want me to perform? I'm like, you could probably get someone with a little more juice behind him than me. And he's like, dude, people out here, they're excited for to see what like the outside world is like to some degree. He didn't know what a blue M&M was when I interviewed him last time. So I don't know where we're going into, but
yeah, well, I'm saying like that's like, and that's the reality of it. It's like you don't realize like how like not like sheltered, but like how people perceive the rest of the world when they grew up in this like this little box that they grew up in, and they don't realize that like there's other people out there living their lives and you know
totally doing different
thing, or people that they listen to and people that they're interested in, and like well, they could show up in that area that they're in and be like, hey, I'm here for the night.
Yeah. I mean, that speaks to what the majority of, I think, the problem with in this country is I think most people feel that the average person agrees with them on most things. And it's like, and that's why I think a lot of people feel justified with stupid opinions. And yeah. I think that's almost innate. And then, you know, it's a dangerous thing.
A lot of echo chamber bullshit going on, man.
Yeah, especially when you find the people. It's humans have a very good way of making everything very binary. It's like you're either with us or against us, or it's like, and that was even one of the things that it's talking about resolutions and stuff. I have this thing that I've been doing that I sort of call like the bad news sandwich, where I don't know why I do this, but if I'm like talking to my mom or someone, like someone comes on TV and she doesn't know who it is, and I'm like, oh, that's so and so. So, Pilze, what are you working on for this year?
Ooh, buddy, I'm working on a lot of shit. So I got the project I just put out with these guys. I just got the project that I just put out with you. We have another project we're in the middle of working on.
Yep.
A minute later.
We got Rex on that. Yep. Percy P, Elza.
We have another project that we're working on. Yeah, we got Elzai on there, which is insane to me. We have a lot of really, really, really dope features on that project that I'm super excited about. I've been trying not to tell anybody about certain shit, but you know.
Oh, I ramble about anything. It's like these days it's so hard to get anybody to actually notice anything you're doing. I feel like I have to say it 4,000 times so that like.
I mean, at that point, that's why I was like, to me, it doesn't matter. Like, I would rather just be like, hey, this is the things that we're doing. This is something you should look forward to.
I talked to someone the other day who I haven't talked to in a while on chat, and he was like, "Oh, you have a podcast?" I'm like, "You've literally watched every one of my stories this year. I've done at least 200 posts about this podcast. Like, is that where we're at? Like, you can't.
It's honestly, it's really hard to get somebody's attention nowadays.
It is. It's really hard
to get somebody to actually even pay attention to anything you're doing.
Yeah, they're peeking, but they ain't speaking. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. And like, yeah, people like looking in on shit that you're doing, but they're not really paying attention. Yeah. And so, I don't. So as what you were asking though, I have a project I just put out with them and Don Deaf. Shout out Don Deaf. He couldn't be here.
Oh today. Yes.
Shout out to Don Deaf. He couldn't be here with us today, unfortunately, but yeah, we have the project reporting live. We just put out. Very, very, very proud of that. Like that's a fucking full solid project. Super happy about that. We have the Quiet Life Loud Friends we just put out I'm super happy with that. Like the interaction we've gotten out of that and the write-ups and everything like that. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback on that.
We got a video dropping for that soon. I don't know if you saw what I sent you today, but
the music video for these trees
have eyes. I dropped the lyrics down the bottom, which seems to be the trend these days.
So no, I think
subtitles.
I think it'll work. I think it will do.
What do you guys think of that? Because that's something that like once it seems like it's sort of been, people should have been doing it for years. Because for me at least, when it zones me in more to the video, it keeps my attention more. It kind of creates a better connection between, maybe it's my ADHD brain, but do you guys like that when you start seeing the lyrics and videos now?
I do. I'm a fan. I think it adds more, especially when you're like me, like punchline orientated and stuff. When they can see like, you know, how I'm formatting my my verses, and it's just they can see a little bit more.
I think for you, it would definitely work out
very well. Because I have like these weird,
like with the punchlines and everything like that.
These little puns and fun.
There's little things that I think people would miss if they didn't like go back and reread it or see it.
Right.
Okay, I get it. You know, I get what he's saying.
That's one of the beauties of hip hop for me. Is like there's songs I've heard hundreds of times, and I'll finally get a line, or I thought I knew the line, then one day, then I'll be like watching a TV show and get a reference I didn't get before. Like, oh shit, it's like a puzzle that's constantly unfolding. So like.
Right.
But these days, it's like to be able to give the person the ability to like get the full vision the first few times. It's a really cool new tool that we have in our arsenal now. So
yeah, I think that's huge.
Right off the bat, I hate that shit. But I do.
I was hoping there'd be a sentiment.
You hate it?
Because I hate subtitles. Like when I'm watching or listening to something, I like to just fully pay attention to it and see what I can catch. But actually, now that I'm hearing y'all talk about it, like. I don't know. It is kind of ill.
It has
like,
its benefits.
Yeah, man. Because you, especially when you're a lyricist who layers a lot in there. You know, like I feel like a lot of people be missing my shit.
That's what I'm saying. That's like to me,
you're able to articulate more, like
somebody
right
like
over their head.
Exactly.
So if the words are right there,
it's like
it helps out a little
super
bit.
lyricist that like, and you too, like this dude's wordplay. No lie, I will straight up say this off the rip. This dude's wordplay is fucking unfuckwithable. Like
I heard the album. It's fucking dope.
This dude's wordplay is insane. And so like, you know how many times I'm sitting there mixing a song and I'm the person like listen to it a million times before anybody ever gets to hear it like out loud. And I'm listening to it and I'm sitting there, I catch myself listening to his verse and like getting like enthralled in it, like getting just dragged into his verse. And then I realized I'm like, oh, I'm not mixing or doing anything I'm supposed to be doing. Because his verse like becomes so captivating.
Yeah.
Verse becomes
so. You're like, oh, it's my job to make this sound good. Holy shit! I got.
Right. Yeah, and it catches me off guard. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to be doing something right now. And honestly, his verses are like so like just captivating that I end up I catch myself getting sucked in his verse and listening to his verse more than I'm paying attention to my job and the thing I'm supposed to be doing. Which is
don't listen to it in the car.
Yeah, I'm saying which is to me like somebody that like is like somebody that grew up like I'm like obsessed with like Aesop Rock and like other like people like just as far as they're just writing, they're writing their lyricism. To me, I'm obsessed with that. And so when I get sucked into not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing because his verse like literally will just keep me captivated. Like the stories that he tells and his wordplay and shit, like this dude is insane.
Why don't you throw out a few? What are a few song titles? Actually, let's go for all you guys. For people who are just just jumping on now. What are the songs you guys are most proud of that you think if people are going to check out a few they should?
I like the joints that we dropped as singles right off the bat. Man, it gets deep. I think that's an amazing song.
Yeah, that song's incredible.
I See Blood.
See Blood's a good one.
Nobody Make a Move was, I think, like the most straightforward banger. You know, dudes are just ripping it. Yeah. And then I don't know, me and O had some sneaky ones in there too, man. Top 10, I listened to a lot.
Top 10. It's funny because that's one of the beats that I like I played and I was like, this shit's so weird. Nobody's gonna like this.
And
Like
I picked it.
I just played it and I was like,
when I heard it, I knew. I'm like,
such a weird beat that I was like, nobody's gonna fuck with this. And he was like,
weird.
I fucking love it. And I was like, okay. And then was like that. I will literally just get on anything as long as I get a vibe. But like I'll catch it. And then this dude went first and did his thing, and I was like, all right, like. Then he caught the vibe and was like, yeah, I got that. Like, obviously, these dudes working together forever. Like, they just know how to catch a vibe with each other and shit. And it's like what to me, one of those like sneaky tracks where it's such a weird vibe, but it's so dope.
Yeah,
it came
about really easy.
Yeah.
It's so what was that name again?
Top 10.
Top 10. All right. Is that on Reporting Live?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Sweet.
It's a song on it. Yeah. You can believe that.
If I had to pick a solo one, what was it? Burning of the Boats would be Before I Wake.
Before I Wake is
that's one that like really stands out to me. And I dropped a single called Dubs that stands out to me too.
Yeah, I like that song.
Oh, dude, Dubs came out insane. That's probably one of my favorite beats I ever made in my entire life.
Yeah,
like that song came out fucking flawless. Like minimal effort. Just he was like, I have this idea. I'm going in there. Let me in the booth. Let me do my thing. And flawless. Like minimal effort. That entire song. That song was painless.
How has your approach to songwriting changed over the years? Because I think back in the day, I would be like, well, I'm going to sit down and start writing a line and see where it takes me. But now I find more and more, I'm like, I don't want to have to write 14 songs, come up with 6 good ones. I'd rather spend twice the amount of time to just think ahead of time. And that has resulted in me probably making more mature musical decisions and making better music. Have you guys found anything similar? Or like, how have you evolved over the years?
Well, I started off just writing like punchlines really, and then working off of that. That's how I started off, because I realized I get a lot of reaction with the punchline.
Make someone laugh and they'll remember you.
Exactly. So I was like, all right, I just work around these punchlines. So I would come up with something really witty, I'd jot it down, and I would just work around it. Before you know it, I'm 4 bars in, and after 4 bars, it's boom, I'm taking off.
Yeah.
The song writes itself at that point.
Do you write hooks first?
No.
Hooks after the fact.
Yeah, because you usually have a verse like already like brewing, like before I even get a beat.
Yeah.
Like this verse is just sitting, and I'm waiting for that perfect moment or that perfect sound where I can make this, And this beats that I wrote in like acapella, and I'm just waiting for that.
Waiting for the beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Word.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll play the beat, and he'll be like, I have
already got
something. He was like, I have something so made for this shit already. Like he was like, this is perfect.
Yeah. That's happened with Judge Z a lot back in the day. I think that dude just had 9,000 things written. Every time he came to my house, he's like, I got the perfect thing for that. And I'm like, of course you do.
I gotta get Judge Z.
Yeah.
I actually, there's such a different workflow between writing a song solo and collaborating. When I'm writing a song solo, it is more methodical. But at the same time, like sometimes it feels like there can be a little too much thinking involved in it. You could think yourself into a corner. Whereas like when I get in the studio with or with Donnie or whoever, it's just like we just work off each other.
Yeah, it just happens.
The workflow is smooth. I'm like, wait, what did you just say?
Smooth,
what do you got for the first 2 bars? Okay, boom. Oh, what do you got for a hook? And then we're just off and running. And it's I don't know. It's cool to be able to work off your homies like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you definitely find some people that works perfectly like that. And then sometimes you're like, oh, it's working clunky. Like some people that I can be friends with but can't work with because it never works that way. So you got to super appreciate it when you have those relationships where it just all kind of comes together. It's
and it can also pull you out of your groove a little bit. Like I got my certain thing that I'll do. Like if left to my own devices, I know exactly what I'm going to do. But if I come in and hear what O's doing, it might pull me in his direction. Yep. And all of a sudden, I'll come up with something I had never imagined that I would come with. So,
yeah. I think about that actually. The songs we did with Copyright, because it's like I think my style and Onest style, like they're kind of pretty far apart. But I'm always thinking about he's gonna be on the song too. So how do I bring myself a little closer to that energy so that it all sounds
how do we make it mesh?
Yeah.
So, and that's a cool task to set yourself to.
Yeah, it's how you grow as an artist too. It's like, because I would say there's nothing about those songs that isn't any less like me than my other ones, but it's like they sort of like kind of like flow better. It's like
just a different part of you that comes out, as a result of that.
Yeah. So
yeah, especially working with copy, got Tower of Babel. I was like, oh man, I got to bring
it. Dude.
He don't play.
You never know. I keep thinking about that song that the verse that I'm not gonna be on this one, but he has a line about Tyson's home. I forget that line is so fucking hard. Like, it's so dope. Like you never know how gonna come up.
Yeah, that's one you gave to us.
Yeah. Kill. You guys got to kill that one. It's like I remember even afterwards he was like, yo, I killed this one. It's like
he did. He murdered that one. And you know what's funny? That's one of those few beats that I sent where it's got like a very like it is not the vibe at all that I think he would have picked for a beat. It is like I don't know. It's got such a like uppity vibe and shit. It's not something that I thought he was going to pick for a beat.
Yeah, he went ham.
And he went absolutely ham on that shit.
Yeah. If anybody watching is a fan of Copyright, go back a few episodes and watch the interview I did with him. I can't say too much about it, but a lot had to be edited out. Some of it I sort of left in with beeps just because I found it sort of amusing. But I believe he may have committed some crimes and confessed to some others. So in the interest of protecting him.
I just love the fact that he did it from his car. He was like, we did it from the car.
Yeah. I know.
Shout out to Copy for that.
Yeah, shout out to Copyright.
Yeah, the dude's a real, like, whenever I see his name pop up in my text, it's either going to be like the most mundane thing or the most bizarre thing ever. And it's odd.
You don't know what you're going to get, like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, no shit. That a box of chocolates shows up at your door at 3:30 in the morning. But no, he's a good dude. It's an honor to work with him. And
we have a couple really good joints together and shit, like already. Like him and O, you and O, like just got some really good joints together.
Yeah, we actually met up at a Copyright show.
Oh yeah,
Electric Haze.
Yeah, I remember that night. Me and my girlfriend were there. We left really early. I forget why. Something had fucked up had happened to me that day. And I think I got kind of drunk early.
You showed up. I think you said like your girl isn't feeling good, so you guys.
That was the excuse, but the real reason was I forget what it was, but something really fucked up had happened that day, and then I got like pretty drunk like at dinner, and it was just like it was an unsustainable state for me to stay out, and like she was like, she had something going on too, but it was mostly me, and we were just like, we just got to bag this.
I did see you that night.
The truth comes out.
Yes, the truth comes out. But I'm admitting in a public forum, and she'll never watch anyway. So,
nice. Rat yourself out now.
And she might be actually over here in the other room. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, good.
Well, hello.
Hey, what's up? But yeah, that was that was a funny night because it reminded me about like why opening up for acts is sort of just like such a double-edged sword, because you want to get out there, you want to get the reps, but like I remember the opening act that night was like rapping all these songs about all the women he had, but like they were certainly not in the crowd, and they were certainly not cheering for him, and it just made the whole thing like I felt almost embarrassed for him because like it's like I don't know. If I want to sing a song about the women, they at least should be one there.
He was not zesty. That's what it was. He was just zesty, and there was nobody like. Nobody. No, so he was like pulling out the stops, but there was a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
So you you look zesty.
These dudes don't want to hear that shit.
And you look crazy.
Everybody was like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. I'm like, these women don't exist.
Copyright at that point.
Yeah. And it's like that's what's so rough about those opening acts is that you're just like, and then like the people who yell at the crowd to like get closer, you're like, you're not winning anybody over by yelling at them.
It's so hit or miss and mostly miss.
Yeah.
You
know? I try not to do that when I perform. Like, come closer to just be where you're gonna be at, and just let it go.
Enjoy the show.
You let the music speak for itself, man.
Exactly.
If you're bringing the correct product, people are going to want to get closer to it.
They'll come to the stage eventually, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to.
Well, the other thing too that I noticed is that, and I noticed this with more established acts, is that like they're kind of better at reading the room. So if the crowd is hyped, then your job is really easy. It's like you're going to do the things that every hip hop act does to keep the crowd hyped, and that's the easy part. But like part of me is like going to those shows, you almost have to expect I'm going to have to win this crowd over and like tailor your performance to that. So it's like you're not going up acting like you're like the coolest dude in town, yet none of your friends happen to show up.
Yeah,
because people like, we don't fucking know you.
You just you just the first act. You're not the stand out.
Don't know you.
Yeah, you're not the standout guy. You know what I mean? So it is a popularity contest, so to speak, in these venues. You want to do great.
To be fair though, halfway through the show, usually at that point, like me and O are doing a show and I'm DJing, like the second I can see that we have the crowd's like attention, we have the crowd, that's when I'll say shit like, you know, I'll be like, put your hands up, and like, see if there's any crowd interaction at all.
Test the waters, yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, I'll dip my toes in the water.
Definitely check
you know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, but like, and usually though, when I do that, once I realize we have the crowd's like, you know, attention, we'll start performing and people are like, oh shit. And like, they're actually like better than we thought. And once we have their attention, that's when I start testing the waters. I'm like,
and there's a certain level when that happens where I even come up a little bit, he comes up a little bit.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, put your hands up.
And it becomes a show.
And like, well, once you do that, and then you see people's like crowd reaction, and then once you realize you do have people's attention, if they're feeling it, which you can usually pretty much just look out and see if anybody's actually like enjoying it or not, and then that's when you can kind of step out of the comfort zone.
So people kind of forget that like the MC master of ceremonies part, where it's like your first job is really to win over the crowd with your personality and your charm. Because it's like then you're gonna pull them in a little bit, unless you're gonna immediately go into like, you know, rap god level raps off the bat. It's like you're gonna have to win them over like your personality first, and people go with the persona before they come with the personality, because it's like you can always tell when someone's being real or when someone's coming with their fake, you know, their fake jewelry that they left at home and their fake women that they left on Tinder, you know.
Yeah, no, and like realistically though, we just my main thing is we just win them over with the music. I know the music is going to speak for itself, and the second that he gets, I hit play. The second a beat starts playing, he does his thing. Like within at least the first song, people are like, "Oh, okay," and they're pretty much already interested. By the second song, they're like, you know, you start to get them. You have their attention at that point. By the second song, you usually have people's attention, and they're like, "Oh, this is actually really good." And then once they're paying attention, that's when you're like,
that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, that's when the magic happens. That's when you get people involved, and you know what I mean. Like you could be like, "Hey, don't be afraid to step up. Like step up a little bit." And that's when people's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." Or even then, usually I'll test the waters by just, you know, put your hands up, and like. Once I see most of the crowd put their hands up, like, because if they don't want to, they're not going to.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could be like, put your hands up, and people are like, nah, this ain't.
I don't want to put
they're not putting their hands up. And
I don't want to put them in a predicament.
That's usually
like I paid to get in here. You put your fucking hands up.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? A lot of the times that's a good test in the waters with me, where I'm like, you know, by the third song, I can see heads nodding. People are fucking into it. People, you know.
Yeah.
You know, people once their heads are bobbing and I can see I can have people's attention, that's when I can start to be like, all right, put your hands up. And when people put their hands up, that's when I can start to be like, all right, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of feed off the crowd.
Yeah. And then that's when you
feed off the crowd.
Well, once you know that they're engaged.
Mm-hmm. Definitely helps.
Yep, definitely does. Any projects in particular, like stuff that you've heard from other people that you've been excited about lately? I meant to do like year-end wrap-up stuff, and then it never actually happened for this year, but it's, you know, anything that you've been listening to other artists that you're a fan of, or any of your friends you want to shout out to put out some good projects in 2023?
Honestly, just the homies, just like straight up, like honestly, like just the people that I work with, like dead ass, like I listen to like other projects and shit like that, but like I'm not as excited to hear their shit as I am to hear the shit that I'm like ready to put out. And I can't wait to hear their shit. I can't wait for the rest of the world to hear their shit.
Yeah, man. Likewise, I'm mostly, when it comes to new projects, I'm mostly listening to the homies. You know, I've been listening to O's new album a lot, and my man King Arthur and this guy Halim got an album called Fraternal Order that just came out that I've been listening to a bunch. And then Donnie dropped Vital Info 2. Been bumping that. My man Wally Sparks just dropped a new one. I forget what this record is called, but he just sent it to me. He got a new one out. I was bumping that. But it's either some old ass CDs from like 1995 that I just dug up and threw in my whip, or it's like, whatever the homies are doing.
That's what's like fun is like I back to those days when I was going to like Sam Goody and buying cassettes. It's like they'd have like 2 or 3 rows of hip hop, and I could only afford like maybe a cassette a month or something. And it's like there are all those records that I looked at for years. Like even I mentioned like Shorty the Pimp that like I could identify and probably name a song off of, but I've never really listened to. And to have all of that stuff at your fingertips now is really beautiful. Like, and I think if you have Paramount Plus, I don't know if it's still on there, but as of a few months ago, they had all the old MTV Raps episodes.
No shit.
Remember now?
Like,
we had to steal our shit back in the day.
Paramount, so let's go.
It's awesome. And then in between, you forget that all these like I watched one. It was like they had like an interview with Criss Cross on the set of like some like other video, and you're just like, holy shit! Like this is like footage is almost lost to time because it's just forgotten about, but it's fucking amazing.
That's dope.
Yeah, but somebody has it on the internet somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. But especially with like that stuff where like it's like it always makes it hard to like keep that stuff alive because of all the music clearances stuff. Like even there's a show Moonlighting that I loved as a kid with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd that just now finally came on Hulu. This was like pre-Die Hard Bruce Willis because of all the music stuff to it. So like,
I remember that.
Yeah, so that's now on Hulu. But so enjoy the O2 rap so you can last because there's no guarantee shit like that's gonna stick around because just fucking so many licensing things these days. So,
right.
Where's he going?
To the bathroom.
Of course. How long have you guys been working with Pilze for? Because I think he had already been doing beats for a while before him and I hooked up again to work on some stuff.
I met Pilze mad randomly actually. We was in this there's a show in Maine that we do. It's a Mardi Gras for my boy Marty who passed away in the South Shore. And so we came together and I had a set ready and everything. And then what happened was I couldn't get no fucking internet, so I wasn't able to do my fucking set. But Pilze had his shit ready and he was playing instrumentals. So I took that time to just kind of like do a kind of open mic thing. And as soon as I started opening my mouth, he came up to me and was like, yo, after this, we got to link up. And then we started Dirty City. Damn. And here we are, like 2 years later, 3 years later, like.
You know what's crazy is that me and O working together really kicked off probably, I think, the next year at that exact same festival.
Yeah, because you performed.
I had no idea he was going to be up there. And me and my man Chairman Chow, who I've done a couple projects with, got invited.
Chairman Chow.
Shout out Chow, that's my guy. Went up there to perform. And I'm like, oh shit, O's here. And he's like, yeah, I'm here to perform with my guy Pilze. He's my producer now. You gave me the album, The Toll. Yep. And I was like, all right, man, this is 100% definite. We got to do a project. And here we are, maybe a year and a half later.
It can happen.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'll tell you too, and like I tell everybody hit up Pilze for beats and for mastering. Like, I mean, I back in the day, the Mike Monarchy stuff, I mixed most of that stuff, and which is why it kind of sounds like shit. And like to be able to have someone like Pilze now who actually knows what he's doing and is really talented and reliable, it's like, people should be hitting him up, send him your money and have him mix and master your stuff because he does a great job and he is reliable, unlike a lot of people.
Yes. But I need his attention. Don't send him too much now.
Yeah, I know. As I'm saying that, it's funny too because I heard on Reporting Live there are a few beats on there that I'm like, I got that beat too. Like, and I remember there were a few of them where I'm like, I feel.
He's gonna shop them. He's gonna shop them.
Yeah. It's like now I'm like, if he sends me 5, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell him the one I definitely want, so I make sure I have that and like just make sure I'm not being greedy. But it's just the dude, he has such a wide range too, which is pretty wild. Like some stuff is just barely even sounds like hip hop, but like it's dope.
He surprises me every single time. I'm like, hey, because I'm Puerto Rican and black, so I'm mixed, and I don't know what the fuck you motherfuckers are, but
white.
Like, he makes music that I can touch, you know what I mean? So he is different when it comes to, making beats as far as, being versatile and switching shit up.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just give a shout out to Don Deflo before we get out of here. I know he couldn't be here today, but like
Shout out to Don Def next time, buddy.
yeah, you definitely welcome on. Anybody want to tell his story in a short? Anybody want to get the word on him or do some shout outs and stuff you could look at for him or I don't know.
Yeah, so he has so much, man. He's a hardworking guy. He's got Vital Info 2, his last couple records he put out. He's got an album called Skill Set, which is incredible. Which he got a lot of.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has a lot of really, really good features on that shit.
Yeah, ST9, he got LG on a bunch of stuff.
LG,
I think
Rex on there.
Term Rex, like all your favorites. You know, we rubbing elbows.
He's become kind of a staple, man, underground staple. He had a little deal with Brick Records for a second there, and that's just my guy. I've known Donnie since probably before I known since like second, third grade. I've known Donnie. We go way back, and he actually had a whole other rap career before he became Don Def.
Oh, who was he?
The Vamps. Yeah, he's a producer at that time.
No, but he was also MCing. His music was a lot darker back then, man. It's really ill.
I bet it sounds vaguely familiar. It's like everything sounds familiar when you say it, but like, you know, as being an old head.
But if you can find those records, man, Burning Bridges and Burnt Bridges were his 2 albums he put out back then. They're crazy.
That was something I was going to ask you guys about too. Is I recently, I don't know if you guys know Mike Styles. He was a rapper from back in the day. He was part of the Massholes. And yeah. He was a dude who really inspired me because it was like he was probably a couple years older than me. And, you know, I could talk to him, I'd see him at shows, but like he obviously was a few skill levels ahead of me. I'm like, I'm like, he got there. We drive the same car. We live in the same area. I can get there too to some degree. And for me, that was a big deal to be able to be like, okay, that was sort of an encouragement that really got me going. Were there local dudes like that for you that really gave you that entryway into realizing this was something that not only could do in your home, but could do outside of your home, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah, like it's a lot of us. It was like Crowd Mechanics. Shout out to K to I and Mr. Liff, everybody else that's like down with that during that era.
I think Liff and Ack were big influences, but there was even there was a group called The Product from my neighborhood from North Cambridge, and they used to sell their tape off the ice cream truck. And it was an amazing album, but you could tell it was like these dudes basically just made these beats on like keyboards. It was very dark, grimy, like late '90s stuff, and I was like, man, all right, this is ill. And also, I know we can do this too. Like, you know, it was very DIY, and that really led into a lot of the stuff that we did. We were so DIY, man, through the early 2000s, just pressing up the CDs, going to the print place with the CD burner, just getting it out there. You know,
CD burner. I remember being like, all right, how many CDs can I burn in an hour without destroying this?
We've done that so many times.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh my
different
God.
colored slim cases.
Yes.
Isn't that the way we first
color cases? Remember the see-through color cases?
Yeah,
we tried to do that with the Project Mayhem.
I still have some of those in my closet.
We tried to do that with the Project Mayhem mixtape back in the day. And those still sometimes, if you order some art from me, you might end up getting one of those for free because
I'm a rap artist. What are you supposed to push out? Like, what do you give them? Like
I don't even know.
Card or something. Like
these days now, CDs are cheap.
What is
like,
the equivalent of a CD?
I think it's back to being CDs all of a sudden because, like, I mean, now you can get like 100 CDs in like cases for like $100, which is like, you know, you can.
Yeah, but they're gonna be in your closet.
Yeah. But it's like this is all shit that's 20 years old and people didn't even want it back then. It's like
it's funny. I feel like you're right. I think that like nostalgic part is coming back. Where like if somebody is at a live show and they see you, you know what I mean? Like chances are they probably don't have a fucking record player. They're not gonna buy a vinyl off you. No. But if you have a CD, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna be like, I can find a CD player. So
we'll have a vinyl too because I'll buy that shit.
I'm saying I would too. Like,
but there's only a certain amount of
yeah.
If you go to a show, like chances are, like if me and O go play a show, chances are like we have albums printed.
I still got CDs too in the closet.
Yeah,
right.
I still do it. I still bring CDs with me.
And guess what?
I still listen to CDs. They sound fucking good, especially compared
when we play a show. People buy them, so it's like I don't know if it's like almost like a nostalgic thing where people almost feel like they're buying a tape again. or what. But
well, CDs also feel like a bargain now because you're not trying to sell them for $15 anymore. Because it's like if they were selling CDs for $5 and $6 back then, the market wouldn't have tanked the way that it did. They just got greedy and kept upping the price. The price of the market has decided.
I remember an album being like $17 at the store. Before.
I literally today was going through some old stuff and I found the Beck Odelay when I bought it. I found the wrapper on it. It was $16.99. That album came out in 1997. With inflation, that's like $25. It's like it's insane.
Yeah,
and crazy. When we go to shows, we sell our albums for $5.
Right. $5. And I really think that if the industry started doing that in the late 90s, early 2000s, there wouldn't have been that crash that there was. People wouldn't have gotten so pissed about being ripped off, you know.
They were greedy, man.
Yeah.
But everything changed. Like once it's like once the blank CDs are obsolete, they're gonna go with something else, and you just gotta stay with the times.
Well, even then, like I said, like everything,
whatever the fuck that is,
everything's streaming now. So the only time that like we actually sell albums, you know, like we'll sell digital albums, like people will buy them online, but like as far as like a physical copy, we have them. We bring them to shows, and so if somebody wants to actually meet us. They like our shit, and you know they actually want to support us.
It's the first thing you get as merch when you become an artist,
right? And people will come up to us at shows and be like, you know, you guys are dope, and we're like, hey, we have an album out, buy that, and then
have some type of merch.
We have a package deal too because we have shirts too. So like we'll usually do a package deal, being like, oh, a shirt and a CD, $20.
Something tangible always creates more of an emotional connection.
You want to have something to sell, man.
Exactly.
That's really what it is.
Because after the shows, after the handshakes and everything, it's like,
and realistically, cool, if people are walking over and they're dapping you up after the show and they want to support, $20 for a T-shirt and a CD, they're like, that's like almost like that's like a steal because either way, if they want to support you.
I mean, that's like a round of drinks now at this point. It's like
right. That's what I mean. So that's why I was like, to get a T-shirt from us and a CD, and you know. Shake a hand if you want an autograph, whatever, you know what I mean? Like $20 is a fucking steal nowadays. So
my girlfriend posted some concert tickets the other day from 2000 in Lowell. It was like Pantera, Deftones, and Marilyn Manson, like all the same week, and all the tickets were like $30.
You're right. That's what I mean. Like Jesus I remember seeing every band I ever wanted to see for less than $25.
Yeah. It's like I have like tickets that are like, you know, Great Woods 1997 Pearl Jam $25. You're like, Jesus, god damn.
So I mean, I'm seeing every band I ever wanted to see for $25.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I went to Lollapalooza one year. It was Metallica, Soundgarden, Wu-Tang didn't show up unfortunately, but Rancid, like Ramones, and it was like maybe like $50-$60. It was Screaming Trees. Wow.
But that's the thing. For $60, you could see every band you ever want.
Right, that's a lot of acts.
Now for $60, you can park.
Exactly. Like nowadays, dude, to see one show you want to see is like $120 for a ticket.
And then you have drinks,
and then you have to pay for a ticket, and then you have to pay for drinks for the night. And
there are so many times that like I'll go to buy tickets and like as the service charges are adding up, I'm just saying fuck it. It's like the bait and switch of it being $30, then $40, then like, oh, you have the extra.
But it is at that point.
I can't count how many times that's happened.
You already invested. You already invested.
Nah,
like,
man.
I walk away.
I can't walk away. I'm like, once I'm invested, I'm invested. Now I feel like they're testing my wallet.
After the fourth thing I have to click into when it goes to up to like $80, I'm like, get the fuck out.
I'm like, let's go further. Let's go higher. I'm different.
I'm paying $40 to go to the Middle East upstairs.
I've done it. I did it last weekend.
I'll try and sneak in at the door.
Yeah.
Good guy.
I know.
All
right. Well, I think we've covered some good ground here. Reporting Live is available everywhere, and that album's dope. All of their albums are dope. I mean, check all that shit out. Obviously, you know, Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a safe New Year's and everybody has a lot of good, exciting things planned for 2024. Enjoy it. It might be our last year on the planet for all we know.
Guess what? If it's not, we have so much music coming out.
Yeah, no shit.
This
would be a bad time to
doing your thing. It's going to be awesome, man.
Yes, positive time every day, man. So,
you know what I mean, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
to flip manuscripts, cause her man went from damaged kid to damn he's rich. But she still can't stand the way he manages to never put nickels in the can for the cancer kids. Plus he cheats at cornhole and brags that he won, so she lost interest like porno after she comes. My DM started jingling, baby, as it was done. 2 seconds later I can hear the snapping of her gums. She calls me half Dodge Challenger, half Lip Gallagher. I'm happy that I luckily sat next to her in algebra. I tried to hold her down, but I just couldn't balance her between the million meetings that I keep in my calendar. Plus odds aren't too sloppy that I know why my cell is blowing up probably, but I should check just as well. Call the cops, see if I can get a hold and tell if that's copyrights Yale raising hell inside the holding cell.
Smell the smoke from the cookout. The bushes in the parks with the lookout. Fresh Prince, summertime on the radio. Throwback Friday, yo, the ladies know. Then I'm a smooth type guy. Listen, I'm the shit I need 2-time ply. Part of my soul on my head sky high. The weed smoke covered my body, so I try. Put a scent on like sunblock. Summertime's body season, so keep your gun cocked. I count beers in the cooler, cause when the fun stops, that's when the arguments happen. In the gunshots, it's summertime. Backyards where we play cards. Spitting in cypher, the homie trade bars. Dominoes slam on the table, we take charge. I got a style you can make large.
See, motherfucking right.